Good morning, students of class 8. So today I am here with you all to deliver the second lecture for combustion and flame. In the first lecture, we discussed about what is combustion and the process of combustion, ignition temperature, the two terms which are related, that is ignition temperature, why it is important, what are the different rules for ignition temperature. So now we are going to discuss about few important topics from the chapter 6, that are inflammable substances, combustible or non-combustible substances we can say, and secondly we are going to discuss about the how do we control fire. That means how we can control fire. Fire extinguisher everybody knows. So now let us discuss the points and the topics from chapter 6. So today, first of all, we are going to discuss about combustible and non-combustible substances. So combustible and non-combustible substances, as from its name, it's very clear. Those substances which can burn are called combustible substances. For example, kerosene, petrol, wood, coal, cow dung, cakes, diesel. Here you can see the process of combustion. Next is non-combustible substances. The substances which do not burn are called non-combustible. For example, stone, glass, cement, bricks, soil. So these all are the substances which do not burn. Now we know that the conditions necessary for combustion. We have already discussed about combustion. So in the definition of combustion, what we can say, the process of burning of substance in air or oxygen with the evolution of heat and light is known as combustion. Right? So now what are the conditions required for combustion to take place? So first is the presence of the combustible substance. Yes, of course, the substance which we are burning, that should be combustible. If the substance is non-combustible, that means it will not burn, right? Then presence of a spotter of combustion, not oxygen here, presence of a spotter of combustion, that is oxygen or air we can say, because air also contains oxygen. Then third, the very important, heating the combustible substance to its ignition temperature. Dear children, as we have already discussed that it's very easy to burn a single piece of paper in spite of a bundle of paper, same bundle of paper. Why? Because of one reason, that is ignition temperature. Because the single piece of paper will have low ignition temperature as compared to bundle of papers. On the other hand, what we can see, if I will pour some kerosene oil over that bundle of paper, that immediately it will catch fire, even more faster than single piece of paper. Why? Because the kerosene oil will lower down the ignition temperature of that bundle of paper. So these are the three conditions which are required for combustion to take place. First is presence of the combustible substance. Second is presence of spotter of combustion like oxygen. And third, heating the combustible substance to its ignition temperature. You might have observed the forest fires. So forest fire occur during the hottest summer days. It is occurred due to the extreme heat of summer because the ignition temperature of the dry grass is reached when it is too hot in the forest, that the heat supplied from the sun reaches to the ignition temperature of the dry grass, due to which that dry grass will catch fire, right? So that's why the forest fire is caused. You can see here Forest fire, it's uncontrolled sometimes, and it's very difficult to control and handle all these kind of forest fire when it occurs. Why it occurs? Because the heat is provided by the sun. Sunlight is falling on the dry grass, but sometimes during hot summer days, the temperature provided, the heat provided by the sunlight becomes equal to the ignition temperature of the dry grass, due to which it catches fire. You might have seen the matchstick matchbox which are available at home. That is a short thin piece of wood having chemicals coated at one end, which is used to light a fire by rubbing against a rough surface, is called a matchstick. Right? So 5,000 years ago, the small thin pieces of pine wood dipped in sulfur at one end were used as matchsticks in ancient Egypt. The modern safety matchstick was developed only about 200 years ago. Right? But in matchstick, I would like to tell you some points related to the history of the matchstick. There's some chemicals which I am talking about. What type of chemicals it contains? So actually, it's a mixture of antimony trisulfide. Earlier, I'm talking about potassium chlorate and white phosphorus with some glue and starch was applied to the head of the matchstick made of suitable wood. When the head of the matchstick was rubbed against the rough surface, the white phosphorus get ignited due to heat of friction. This started the combustion of matchstick. But white phosphorus is poisonous. So the use of white phosphorus in making matchsticks proved to be dangerous for the workers engaged in making matchsticks as well as for the users. So now these days, the head of the matchstick contains only antimony trisulfide and potassium chlorate. The rough rubbing surface on the side of matchbox has a coating of powdered glass and little red phosphorus. Because little red phosphorus is less dangerous than white phosphorus. When the matchstick is rubbed against the rough surface of matchbox, then red phosphorus first converted into white phosphorus, then it catches fire. Right? So now these days we are not using white phosphorus. Earlier we were using white phosphorus. Right? Now we are using red phosphorus. So this is the head of the matchstick, you can see. Right? It contains antimony trisulfide and potassium chlorate. You have to learn the name of these chemicals contained in the head of the matchbox. Now, how do we control fire? We know that whenever accidentally the fire takes place, we have to control it to protect the people, to protect the building from the damage. So how we can do that? So we know that first of all, the step should be taken that by removing the fuel, that is combustible substance. Like if a house catch on fire, then first of all we have to remove the wooden substances, wooden objects which can catch fire. Like walls cannot catch fire, but other substances like curtains, bed sheets, they can catch fire. Secondly, remove the heat. Remove means we can say increase the ignition temperature. This is the reason why sometimes we are using water to control fire, because water increases the ignition temperature of the substances, due to which the substances ignition temperature will increase and immediately slowly the fire will blow off. And third one is cut off the air supply. We have to cut off the air supply because air is combustor of oxygen, helping in combustion, oxygen which is present in air. So that's why we have to cut off that supply of air, right? So these are the three ways by which we can control fire. So this is the fire extinguisher that we can see. These type of fire extinguishers are installed in school premises also. So, but in case of few cases, like the fire produced by burning oil and petrol, cannot be extinguished by using water. Why? Because water is heavier than oil and petrol. So when you will throw the water over burning oil, it settles down and the oil floats on water and continues to burn. Right? So fire caused by burning oil cannot be extinguished by pouring water over it. On the other hand, the fire caused by electrical short circuit, it can also not be controlled by throwing water because water conducts electricity to some extent. So when water is thrown over the burning electrical appliances, it can give electric shock to the persons involved in firing. Thus, water cannot be used to extinguish fire caused by electricity. So the electrical fires are controlled by carbon dioxide gas fire extinguisher, such kind of these extinguisher, because carbon dioxide is denser than air and it forms a layer around the burning substance. And carbon dioxide covers the fire like a blanket, due to which fresh air cannot reach the burning substance and the burning will stop. Right? And a small amount of fire, if it take place, that can be extinguished by throwing sand over it. You might have seen at some places on petrol pump, you can see the buckets are hanged over and they are containing soil. Why there is soil? Because they act as fire extinguisher. They can control the small kind of fire produced by any combustible substance. Right? That is all for today's lecture. For the next topic, we will meet in lecture 3. Thank you very much.